mute, but if you do have questions, you can certainly put those into the chat box and we will check them during the presentation, try and answer them back to you. If we don't get to them during the presentation, we will stick around for a bit of a Q&A after as well. We're trying to keep the presentation tonight to about an hour, but we will certainly try and answer as many questions as possible. And Jocelyn is my coworker here. She's our communications director. She's going to be helping out with the technology tonight. And she's just here to help monitor the chat and everything. All right, and I just wanted to note this is a camping webinar that we're doing today. We're just kind of hosting it as an information session, just with all the travel restrictions that are in place. So we are not trying to encourage you to travel at this time, but it's just more of an informational session for when things open up and the provincial health orders are lifted, that you guys can get out and camp then. Our presenters are drawing on their own personal experiences, and we advise you to use the campsites and trails at your own risk when you are able to get out on them. And I would like to introduce who's here with me today. So I have Sharon Pickthorn, Rose Schroeder, and Linda Buchanan. They're from the Backcountry Horsemen. And I'm excited to have them here to share their passion, knowledge, and expertise for trail riding and camping with their horses. While they share a bit about their favorite campsites in BC, you will also see a preview of HCBC's online trails database. This database is was created to share trails and campsites specific to equestrians and allow for people to add comments and photos as well. I just want to let everybody know this is a free resource that's available on our website at hcbc.ca. And Sharon will go through a little bit about how to access it and everything as she's doing her presentation. Also, another program that we offer is the BC Equestrian Trails Fund. And this provides seed money for trails and campsites throughout BC. This fund was started in 2011, and including this year's funding, we have contributed over $300,000 to trails and campsites in BC. So that's really exciting that some of the Horse Council dollars are going towards there, and also donations are going to maintain and improve campsites and trails. So yeah, every year, Horse Council clubs and affiliates, they apply for this funding. They've taken advantage of it and put in countless volunteers hours to have these projects come to life. All right, and just before I pass it over to our presenters, Jocelyn's gonna help me with the technology here, and she's going to do a poll for us. And we're just kind of interested in what regions you guys are in and what kind of camping you might do with your horse, or if you are planning on doing some camping with your horse. So I'll turn that over to Jocelyn now. So you'll see it appear on your screen in just a moment here. So there'll be the one question and then the second question when you scroll down. So I'll just give everybody a moment to just read over that, and then we can get started. Okay, so I think if everybody's had a chance to do that, I will pass it over to Sharon now, and she'll go ahead with her presentation.
Sorry, can everyone hear me now? Okay, it looks like there's another poll that's just come in. I don't know if everybody had a chance to do the second one as well. There was 2 questions. So I'm Sharon Pickthorn. I'm the treasurer of Horse Council BC. I'm also a Backcountry Horseman member, and I'm located on Vancouver Island. So that's the area I'm going to cover first, and then Linda and Rose will take over and talk about the rest of the province. I'm going to share my screen here, and let's see how I do here. And bear with me a second. I can't see everything underneath my okay, there we are. Can everyone see the Horse Council main landing page on their screen now? Yes? Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
So this is the landing screen when you just log on to Horse Council, and when you're looking up the horse camping, what to do is go over across the main bar to one that's called Recreation, and then there, you want to go to the online trail database, and then that's what you're going to see next. And what it is it's basically the map of the province. It's color coded to the trail zones that are over here on the left-hand side of the page. And you can do a couple of things here. If you know what trail zone you're going to, you can certainly click on that and drill down. If you know what trail or campsite you're trying to find right off the get-go, in this search box up here, already know the trail name, start typing it in and it'll find what you're looking for and take you right there. So that's two ways to go in there. The other thing I want to notice you to have a look at is, I'm going to scroll down here a bit. There is something here, a box below that says contribute to our database. And what that is it's our request, our begging, our hopeful place where we ask people, if you're a trail rider and you're riding any of these trails, or there's trails that are not on our database, you can put them in for us. So there's a trail submission update page. You just click on there. It allows you, it's a form, you start to fill it out. And you also have the ability, because you might start filling it out and realize, oh dear, I don't have information about water or whatever. So, but you can save it and come back to it. But this is what makes this database good. We rely on people that are out there riding these trails to either put in new submissions, or this is also an update. So if you have gone in and you read something about it and it said, you know, it has 2 campsites, and then you get there and go, wow, there's 12 campsites here. You could actually load up that trail page and change it and say, and take out the part that said 2 campsites and change it to 12 if you want. The other thing you can do, which we'll see, is when you're inside a trail record, you can also send us comments and you can send us pictures, and they're quite easy to load up. The other thing that's on this page is Horse Council has a relationship with a Canadian company out of Toronto that's a smartphone app that provides geo-referenced maps. Geo-referenced maps means that when you have your smartphone and you have one of these maps going, you don't need to have any Wi-Fi or anything. They'll work fine if you've loaded them up ahead of time before you get to this place. So you don't need any cell phone connectivity. And georeference means as you ride along these trails with that map open on your phone, it'll show you as a little dot moving along. So it's very helpful that you don't get off the trail, lost. It can help you get home. So Horse Council's published, I think it's about 22 maps now. So that's there as well. Okay, so I'm going to cover Vancouver Island. So I can, over here on the left, I can click on my zone. When I click on my zone, it brings a map of the area. You can zoom into these maps, the plus minus, and down at the bottom, you'll see there's a legend here, and there's trails and horse campsites. So if really what you're interested in is seeing horse campsites, just untick the trails and then you can get into your horse campsite. So I'm going to get the first one that I see here, and it's called Spruceton. Quite close to Nanaimo. When I click there, then I have to hit the link at the top, or I could have, the other way I could have found it, actually scrolling down alphabetically, and I would find Spruceton. There's numerous ways to get in here. There's Spruceton, shows the camping. You'll see multiple pictures on the website that shows you different parts of the camping. This shows the whole area. What Spruceton is it's actually one of the first ones that we did. It was done by Central Vancouver Island chapter. And Spruceton has 12 corrals. It's got, obviously, as you see from this picture, room for lots and lots of rigs. So people have some events here as well. There's 2 toilets. There's lots of room up here. And there's a fabulous georeference map that is actually the first one that was done. And it was done by Backcountry. They approached Horse Council and said, hey, we really like these georeference maps. And then that's when Horse Council got involved with Avenza, and we started making more and more maps. The trails at Spruceton are varied. There's lots of them. The map is fabulous, and I would definitely suggest, if you're going to go there and haven't been there before, do get the map on your phone, because the trail network is quite convoluted. Is probably not the right word, but it's fairly complex. But there's everything you could want here. There's lakes and waterfalls and rocky areas, and it's very pretty. So it's a very enjoyable place to go, and it's called Spruceton. Okay, so I'm going to close that. Okay, and now let's say I want to go see another one. So working around the site again, what I'm going to do now is I can go back to trails, and what I'm going to do is put me back on Vancouver Island. And so now I can go and say, okay, I want to go look at another one. So the next one I'm going to go to is called Brewster. So Brewster, there's basically 3 joined together horse campsites. One of them is called Brewster. It's at Brewster Lake. And then there's a very remote one called Pine Martin. And then there's one at the end that's called Salmon Mimicky. Salmon Mimicky is the name of 2 intersecting rivers and these are north of Campbell River. And there is a 40-kilometer registered trail that goes between these 3 campsites. So Brewster is one that's closest to Campbell River. It does have a 17-kilometer gravel road that unfortunately is not always in the greatest of shape. There is a lovely lake here, and sort of gives you an idea what the corrals look like. So now there's 4 corrals there, and they're 24 by 24. So you definitely, if you've got horses that like each other, you can get 2 horses in there pretty easily. So the next one I'm going to take you to is Salmon Mimicky. Okay, so that shows Brewster. I'm not sure why Salmon Mimicky isn't coming up there, but I'll just scroll down. Salmon Mimicky is the kind of the crown jewel of the 3 sites. They're joined together with that 40-kilometer trail. And the reason it's sort of a crown jewel is bring this picture up. So it's got lovely campsites. Salmon Brewster has 11 sites, so 22 paddocks, can hold 22 horses. It could actually hold more horses than that if you're capable and have the gear for highlining. If you look behind in this picture, you can see a shelter here. And this shelter is substantial. It's got 6 picnic, got a wood stove, there's all wood in there, etc. There's manure pits. There's I think at least three at least 3, might be 4 toilets. There's water tanks. So we actually pay to have water brought in every year. It's quite a jewel. Now, when you're that type of information I'm telling you, in every trail record that we're going to show you today, find it down below. So you've got information here, specifics about ride times, longitude. You've got notes talking about water, parking, camping, more information, etc. So everything that you want hopefully is here. This is, if you see something in here that's out of date, that's where we'd want you to update it. And then the last one I'll look at here is, you can see comments. So we really like people to comment because, and you can see Sharon Pickthorn's a big commenter here. Comments just help people. Even if you just make a comment and say, went camping on May 15th weekend, weather was great, there was 10 people. It just gives people confidence that, okay, there's people up there, it's good. You might make a note about a tree down or whatever you want to, but comments are really helpful for other users. And for me, for the public land trails, also for your information, I'm just going to mention 3 private places that are on Vancouver Island. One is called, and there's going to be a list, I believe, that Jocelyn's putting in the chat area. There's one called High Point Guest Ranch. It's by Duncan on the Trans-Canada Trail, and there'll be a hyperlink in there for that. That's got a lovely little lake. It's quite a nice place. There's one called Paradise Acres Ranch. She's got 125 acres in there. She's got paddocks, shelters. She's got service sites, etc. So that's quite a nice place. There's toilets, bathrooms, everything. And the last one was called Maple Heart Ranch. That one I haven't been to. That one, I guess to sum it up, is sort of off the grid. It's up quite a long dirt road. It's quite secluded, and there's stuff there, but you definitely are you're not going to have a lot of services on that one. And that about covers it for me. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And if you have any questions that you've posted in the chat, I might be able to answer them while I turn it over to Rose and Linda.
Okay, so I'm Linda Buchanan. I am with the Shuswap chapter of Backcountry Horsemen, and I am also the provincial Trails Committee chair. So kind of get a lot of info from different stuff around the province. Even though I may not have been there, I can seek information out from other people in those different zones. The areas that I'm going to go into is the Thompson Okanagan. So Rose is my navigator on the screen here for me. And you will see that there are quite a few blue dots in this area here. So one of the first trails that I'm going to talk about, because it's like right out my back door, is Kamikan. So just scroll right down. And Kamikan was, I believe, one of the very first backcountry horseman campsites that was built by backcountry horsemen. And it's just outside of Salmon Arm. It is, what they have there is 6 pull-through campsites, when there are 2 corrals in each campsite. They're not huge corrals, they're 12 by 12. And as repairs need being done or they need to be replaced, then the plan is to make them a little bit bigger. It is a rec sites and trails campground. So it's on a first come, first serve basis. You cannot make reservations. The host is very, very horse friendly, and he does let somebody know if they choose to do recreational camping in a site where there are horse corrals, then he does let those people know that it's quite possible horses may be right in those corrals beside their trailer. It costs $15 a night. I'm losing my technician here. The trails are in the Avenza app as well. We're doing some work in the area. There's new signage has gone up, and we are working on some of the trails being multi-use as well as non-motorized. So that signage is going up, and hopefully we'll have new maps this year. If you scroll down a bit, one thing that Sharon was when she was going across the bottom, if you have photos that you want to upload onto a particular area, you just go into the tabs across the bottom and it says upload. And then if you scroll down, you'll see image upload, and you can download a file onto your computer, choose it, and then upload it to be able to add to the collection that gets built there.
Question I always have is, do you have to fill this out first so they have your name?
No,
Okay.
no, that's for the tracks. So that's Kamikan. The next one I'll talk about is Trapping Creek. Trapping Creek is off Highway 33, just outside of Kelowna. And again, Backcountry Horsemen has been really involved in this area here. Juanita Gibney, if any of you know from the Okanagan chapter, it's kind of been her baby. And there are I'll bring up my notes on this one. So there's 2 campsites there. One is at the campsite is called Little Trapping Creek Horse Camp, and it's only 3 kilometers on the Trapping Creek Forest Service Road, just 3 kilometers up. And there's 6, this is Little Trapping Creek, and there's 6 level campsites, and there's corrals there. Each campsite has 2 horse corrals, but there's also, as you can see, lots of areas to highline. There's a few rock fire pits and a pit toilet and a concrete manure bin on site. There is no water, no like pumped water or that. But there is a place close by to this campground where you can go down and water your horses. So it's advised that you bring water to this campsite. The second campsite is Meadow Horse Camp. It's located a little further up off of Trapping Creek Road. There's directions on the site here as well. So there are no horse pens here, so it's highlining, and but there is a fire pit and pit toilets. I think that's back at Little Trapping Creek, that one. So at Meadow Camp, you'll need to bring your own water there. The trails, there's trails that connect both camps, and some trails have creek crossings, so you can get water along the way. There's more than 60 kilometers of trail in loops of different lengths from each camp. And most of the trails have good footing and wind through the forest on old logging or 2-track and lots of single track. You may come across cattle in the area through the summer, and you'll occasionally see deer, moose, bear, and coyotes. So that's Trapping Creek. And the last one I'll talk about is Rainbow Trails. So we've been kind of going through the rig riding, camping with corrals, and Rainbow Trails has no corrals. You will be highlining. So Rainbow Trails is just outside of Merritt off the Coldwater Road, so to the west of Merritt. And it's a very popular place. The trails were all developed and marked and everything by the endurance riders of BC. It's a really good place to go right after they've had an endurance ride, because all the trails are clear and sometimes the flagging is still up.
The tank is full of water.
And they usually put up a big cistern and tank for water, and that gets pumped into the cistern out of the creek. And so there is water access there when they've done that cistern. So otherwise there's a little short jaunt over to take your horses to water or bring your own. There's enough trails there that they do 100-mile endurance rides, and it's quite beautiful. You'll run into cattle, you'll run into, we've run into bears, that kind of thing. It is wilderness, more wilderness camping, and doesn't have all the luxuries, but it's also a wreck site, and it's leave no trace. There's pit toilets there too, as well. And these rainbow trails are also in Avenza. Horse Council made a geo-referenced map as well. I think that's about it. If you're looking for, just of note, more private places to camp, like these are private locations, besides any ones that might be listed in Horse Council, there's an app called Bed and Bale, and it's a green background with a little horse sleeping. I might have a picture of it here, and it's extremely good. Oh, it's not going to pop up, but anyway, you can check that out too, and it's a free app. So that's all I have to say. Turn it over to Rose.
Okay, you want to be my clicker?
I will.
So the first one we're going to talk about is Headwaters. Hi, Rose Schroeder here. And I'm going to talk about 3 horse camps that I've had the privilege of helping to build, actually. And so I've ridden all these trails and stayed at these camps. The first one I'm going to talk about is the Headwaters in BC Manning Park. It was built in 2011. One of the first projects that Backcountry Horsemen did to actually build a horse camp. And this is in a provincial park, so it's a little bit different than camping in rec sites and trails. So it has 7 sites, but only 4 corrals, log corrals. So mainly people either bring their own panels or highline. It does have an outhouse and an info kiosk and picnic tables and a central firing, just one central firing. There's a bigger fee. Most rec sites charge between $15 and $18 a night, and then there's usually a $2 to $5 charge for the corrals per night per horse. In Manning Park, the fee is $25 a night, but it includes the use of the resort hot tub, swimming pool, and showers. And also within a 5-minute walk is a store and a restaurant. So it's kind of a nice place to stay in that respect. There's a lot of trails. The one that you're looking at right now is called Windy Joe, and it's the top of a mountain. It's an old fire lookout. And so that's one day ride you can do. There's many, and you can also trailer out to different trails. So the one you're looking at there is crossing, what's the name of the creek there on the Dudney Trail? It's the Dudney Trail, and it heads up into Paradise Valley. So that's a packing one. You can do an overnight trip up there with your horse, just with what you carry on your horse. This is the East Simulcamine Trail you're looking at. We do a lot of work to keep that one open because windfall is a huge problem on that one. Oh, and then I forgot about the campsite. We're getting into trails already, but the campsite also has non-potable water for horses with a tap and a hose, and then a manure bin. But all of these sites, what I've been finding is we started out leaving a manure wheelbarrow and pitchforks and stuff there, but they very soon disappear or get trashed. So I would always bring my own way to get the manure to the manure bin, and also buckets so that I can fill them up with water, and a trolley or, you know, one of those portable wheelbarrows to carry it back to where my horses are. What else? I think that's about it for Manning Park. So we're going to move to another one in the interior that's fairly new. So that's Kane. Cane Harmon, it's called, if you're looking it up. And it was built in 2020, so it's brand new. It has 13 sites, 26 corrals, and two outhouses, picnic tables and fire rings at each campsite. And there's a big group site that's at the very top of the ridge. I think in this photo, the horse camp, we'll get to it. We'll get to it. I don't think you can see it on that one. The water, that's just a view across to one of the ranches from one of the trails. Then that's that little lake way out there, where you can actually from up there see the highway that goes down to Princeton from Merritt. What was I going to say? The water for horses here is a little bit difficult. You either got to go downhill or downhill to get the water for the horses at the local lake. Or okay, here the horse camp. Can you put your clicker over there? There's where the horse camp is, right there between the two lakes, Cane and Harmon. And it's got beautiful views. It's got a nice breeze usually when it's hot out and keeps the bugs away. And the trails radiate in all directions out here. They're cross-country ski trails for the most, so they're very well signed, which is a bonus. And let's see, most of these sites we're talking about also have a host, so you could feel pretty secure in leaving things, you know, and there's always somebody around watching stuff. Kind of like that idea. A big question we get is, can we reserve? At the moment, the only one you can reserve at is Kirsley on the Lower Mainland, which is the last one I'm going to talk about. You can't reserve at these. Some of them, you got to go to their websites. Some of them you can call the host and tell them you're coming. At Cane here, what they'll do is they keep all the horse sites open until Friday afternoon. If they haven't heard you're coming, they will give it away to the general public if they need to. And the only resource then you have is they do have some overflow camping that's quite nice, but there's no corrals. So you want to kind of get there early Friday, or try and get a hold of the host and let them know you're coming, or they'll give them away because they're trying to make a living. So they have to make these sites used. Otherwise, it's a first come, first served basis. Okay, so the last one I'm going to talk about is Kirsley Creek in the Lower Mainland. It's a fairly new one. It was created in 2019. Just let Linda catch up here.
Just going into a different zone. So.
Yeah, you have to go into a different zone. Kirsley Creek has 8 sites and 16 corrals. It also has a host. The one difference here is they're not charging currently for the corrals. They're just charging for your rig to be camped in a camping site. So eight sites, 16 corrals, outhouse, fire rings, picnic tables, lots of grass, which you don't find up in these Okanagan ones.
Just planted.
Yeah, this is when it was brand new and the grass hasn't come up yet, but it's got lots of grass right now. And so they're allowing people to hand graze their horses there. The trails are still a work in progress. I'd say there's probably 2 to 3 days worth of riding there at the moment. It's on a lake. You can get down to the lake. People swim their horses in the lake. It's a multi-use area, so you are going to expect versus a provincial park, you're going to expect some motorized traffic. Mountain bikers still haven't come into this area too hard yet, but I'm sure they will. I have some more notes that I just got from the backcountry chapter down there, Yarrow. The host there does supply a water tank, and you can go to the water tank and fill up your buckets for your horse. I already said hand grazing. They do not want people to bring their own panels here, and they don't want to do any highlining. So it's just what you see. There's 2 horses per camp. This is the one that I said will have 2 reservable sites. And I'm not sure how to get this information out to everybody, but you can email the host privately or contact Janet Schmidt, the work bee coordinator at bchorseman.org, and she will get you the information for that. How are we doing for time, Sarah? Looking good?
Yeah,
So
we're 7:37, so we're good for time.
Okay, okay.
I can bang off another one.
Well, we could. Is there another one anybody's interested in? I mean, there's so many. If you go to the website, there's so many. We could talk about more remote ones, or we could talk about like Fish Trap, or we could talk about the Snowy Mountains or Empire Valley.
Everybody knows about Lundum, so let's do.
Yeah, everybody knows about Lundum.
Let's do Churn.
Okay, Churn Creek Protected Area in the Empire Valley. This is a provincial park as well. Protected area, which is the same thing as a provincial park.
You've got a request for Kootenays if you have any for the Kootenays as well.
A request for the Kootenays. Horse camping, or do you just want to know about trails?
No horse camping, I'm sure.
I don't know of any camping areas there other than the fairgrounds and rodeo grounds.
Yeah.
Oh, and then that one in Revelstoke, there's a place you can camp in Revelstoke at the horse club.
Selkirk Riding Club. So unfortunately, let's go back to the Kootenays then.
Deb Oakman has piped up and said Coal Mine Camp and the New Bell Mountain Project.
We can mention them.
Yeah. So, okay. So let's take it one step at a time. We were on the Kootenays. So when we look at the Kootenays, as you'll see that there's, wait till it loads up, I guess. Am I in the Kootenays?
Can't tell. I don't think so.
No. What's
You've got
going
to
on?
scroll, you got to drag your map up so you get down into the Kootenays. It just hasn't
Oh,
clicked
there we
in
go.
the right place.
Sorry about that. Yeah. So there's lots of trails there, but we've done several trips into the Kootenays before and gotten a hold of the East or West Kootenay backcountry horseman chapters. Outside of trail, we camped at a.
That was also a horse club.
Oh, that was another horse club. Yeah. So yeah, it's quite limited in terms of public horse camping there. But if you go onto that Bed and Bale app, or even just Google horse camping Kootenays, then there's more private places that do pop up, but not much in the way of like rec sites or BC parks camping in that area.
Linda, you've got a request. Well, there's two things. I've asked about weed-free hay requirement at Churn Creek or places like that. And also Talia would like you to speak to Whitworth Horse Camp.
Okay, hold on. We're getting way ahead of ourselves.
let's do one at a time. So let's go back to Churn Creek, which is in the Thompson Okanagan.
So while Linda's getting there, I'll tell you about the weed-free stuff. So in parks, they prefer you to use weed-free or some kind of processed pellet or something like that, unless you're in one of the main campgrounds. So
or purchase from the Empire Valley, right?
Yeah, at Empire Valley, you can purchase hay from the operating ranch that's there by getting a hold of John. So that information will all be in there somewhere. And he delivers it right to the calving barn is where you camp there. It's one of my most outstanding places to go, but to get there is another story. To leave there is another story. The road in, it's like 90 kilometers of gravel, dirt, and if it starts to rain, you can't move. You'll slide off the road, you'll slide down the hill.
You'll slide into the Fraser River.
you need chains, and even the locals don't go anywhere when it's raining. So you just have to be prepared. If you watch the weather and you know, check out the roads, you can even phone John. He'll tell you what the road conditions are, and it's no problem to get in there. I mean, they live in there, so they know. But it is an outstanding place to camp and ride.
Yeah.
What was next? Somebody
Whitworth.
said
Whitworth.
Whitworth. Whitworth has the same problem. It's in the Fraser
Directories.
Valley.
Oops. Trails.
Whitworth has the same problem where it's time sensitive. The road has to be open for one thing, because it suffers a lot of damage in the winter. So you got to check with BC Parks about that. The road can be full of potholes, or it could be beautifully, if there's logging going on, it'll be beautifully manicured. Bugs are a major concern in there. Mosquitoes can be horrendous. I've been in there where I had to keep my horse in the trailer overnight, and he had to have every piece of clothing that I could put on him to keep the mosquitoes off, because mosquito spray doesn't work when they're that voracious. As long as you kept moving when you're riding, you're okay. But if you stop, you're going to get eaten alive. So you don't want to go in there in June, what is kind of the worst month.
There isn't a lot of info around here.
No, because it's just hard to get to because of the road. It's the most beautiful horse campsite I've been at. The corrals are beautiful. It's drive-through sites, all that kind of stuff, but just got to do your research before you head in there. The trails, that's the other thing. They had a fire in there 2 years ago, I guess it was. So they're still working to reopen some of the trails from the fire. So you probably have you could have 3 to 4 days worth of different trails to ride once you're in there. It does connect to Manning Park, but horses are not allowed past the height of land, which is about where Horsemen camp is, when you look on the map of trails.
Okay. Then there was a question about northern BC. So coal mine camp, do you want to talk about coal mine?
Oh, you probably know more about coal mine, and I'll talk about the other one.
Okay, well, coal mine camp is a private camp, so to speak. It's on private land, Telquak Coal Limited, that has an agreement with the Northwest chapter of Backcountry Horsemen, and who have developed a campground there and it has a mountain trail course, and they've done a beautiful job. It was also won our outstanding project of the year last year up there. But you would have to get a hold of somebody from the Northwest chapter. You can go on bchorseman.org and then go to the chapters and put a comment through and ask about that there, because it is a closed camp. It's not just, you can just show up there. We're waiting for a little bit more info to be able to put that in here. The other one that's in the process of getting near its final stages of completion is just in the area of McBride. So about right in here. And it's the Bell Mountain Rustic Horse Camp. So there will be no corrals. It's highlining. They're in the process this year of making the campground. It's all cross-country ski trails, and then you can just go for miles and miles and miles, and you can get up into alpine. Like the riding there is spectacular, and it's endless. So that is going to be coming in this area right here around McBride. Plus there's other areas where if you dropped your, or you could trailer over to, that's in the database called Swift Current Creek. Where are we at here? That one's, where are we at? Where's Swift Current Creek?
It should be not in Northwest.
Oh, no, sorry, I'm in the wrong zone. I think it's, Thompson Okanagan seems to have them all.
Yeah. I don't know that everybody can ride Swift Current Creek though.
No, So we went there. Again, we met up with the McBride, Robson Valley chapter. I'm just going to scroll down to get to Swift Current Creek. Depending on your riding skills, it's not there either.
Maybe it's not listed.
Yeah, it was.
Try doing a search up at the top.
Oh. The lights are off, Linda can't see.
Where's the enter?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Sorry, Linda, when you do a search on there, if you go back into the database, so
Scroll it over. Oh no, recreation's
just,
right there.
yeah, if you just go back into recreation in the database, then.
sorry, everybody.
Yeah. So when you want to search, no, this is good. You want to go to where it says already know the name of the trail on the left
Oh,
and
over
start
there.
typing it in there, and that'll look through the whole
I
everywhere.
put it in the wrong one.
Didn't quite get Swift though. You got a funny bracket.
I can't see.
Rose, did you not pay your hydro bill?
There it is.
There we go.
You wouldn't be able to see us if I had the lights on.
So you really have to know what you're doing here, because there's a good trail. It's probably intermediate to difficult trail to get up to Swift Current Creek. Swift Current Creek the word creek may be a little daunting because at times it's like a river. And you really need to have some local knowledge and be able to read the water, because you cross the river anywhere from 13 to 14 times from going from sandbar to sandbar all the way up to a beautiful spot where you can have lunch and then of course make your way back down. But
Yeah, we were right underneath Mount Robson, right? We could see it. Wasn't it?
Lodestone?
No, I think it was Mount
Robson?
Robson.
Anyway, it's absolutely gorgeous country up there. Any other comments or questions that are coming in?
I'm sorry, Linda, I've been asked to talk about a couple of the private ones. So if you want me to go ahead and do that, I can do that.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. I can talk about Spruce Hills as well too. So go ahead.
Okay, when you're ready, just let me share the screen. Well, let me see if, yeah. You've got to stop your share screen so I can share mine. Perfect. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to try to, okay. Someone asked about 7.5 diamond. Hopefully everybody can see my screen. This is some pictures from 7.5 Diamond Ranch. It's on the road, Highway 5A, I believe it is, coming out of Merritt, going towards Princeton. It's lovely riding, and the are wonderful, and there is cabins there that you can rent. And if your husband is a fisherman, then you're off to the races, because he'll be happy playing while you're playing. And that's 7.5 diamond. And the one nice thing about the private places is you can reserve. In fact, they want you to reserve. They've got big corrals here. They've got access to showers. They actually have a clubhouse that I was here last year in September, and because of COVID, they weren't doing anything, but they do have a bar in there, etc. So hopefully when the world returns to normal, they offer a lot of facilities there. So that's High Point. The other one I'll mention, I'm going to go to this one. one I'm not sure if people are familiar with called Timber Ridge. It's by Lumbee, just, I guess that what you'd call that east of Vernon. Her name's Darlene, and lovely place. She's got a lovely shelter that you can see in the photo here. And she's a expert Dutch oven cook person, and she actually will even provide you meals. And they've got cabins as well, and some very funky cabins. Like remember, one of them was what would you call that, Rose? It's like a caravan. It's actually on wheels. And then there's just regular cabins, etc. But yeah, she'll even cook for you. They've got nice big corrals. They've got a sort of a hot shower facility. So that's that one. So I did Timber Ridge. Hideaway is another one. I don't think I got that up on my internet yet. That's near Oliver. She's quite busy, I know already. I think she's almost fully booked. And that's a good one. The other one that doesn't have, and this is in the chat box way up at the top, this list. There's another one called AP Guest Ranch, and that's again on Highway 5A. And on the chat box, we just listed the phone number because they don't have a website, but they are on Facebook. So that's a few there that you can think about if you're interested in the private camping. One thing I'll just mention is, again, we don't know what the people that are listening to this, we don't know what your skill level and abilities are, etc. So I know when I first started and I actually went out by myself, I tended to go to places like Linda talked about. Some places have hosts. And I also would even look for places that I knew would have cell phone coverage. So that just made me feel a little safer when I was riding by myself. And then, you know, if you've got a whole group to go with, then it's a different story. But that's another thing. And when you go drill down in the database, you'll find a lot of that kind of information of how remote is this place I'm going. Is there anything else that you guys want to talk about that are the private ones?
So there was just a question there that someone loves to go camping, but they have no horse. So there are some of these private sites that will rent you a horse as well.
Yeah, so up at Wells Gray, there's a guide, trail guides there, and they'll rent you a horse and take you out on the trails up at Wells Gray. There's also up at, it used to be called the Hills Health Ranch. It's now called Spruce Hill Resort. It's exactly the same location, just near 100 Mile at 108. And they had a bit of a changeover of new ownership and whatnot. And the South Caribou chapter of Backcountry Horsemen has started going in there and fixing up the corrals that were really getting in disrepair. So they've been doing some work chipping away at that. At the Hills, I think last year it was $30 to camp plus tax, but like at the Manning Park Lodge, you get access to the hot tub, pool, there's a restaurant there, of course, water, there's pit toilets, yeah, and then it's all cross-country ski trails and phenomenal riding all around there. But there's also trail guides there that will rent you or take you out if you don't have a horse, and they'll take you out on a trail ride there.
Yeah, and I see Deb just posted that Tayaks, I think they're called Tayaks Adventures, and also South Chilcotin Holidays will take you out with horses, and that's in the South Chilcotin Mountains. That's spectacular. Deb can attest to that. That's pretty spectacular country.
You know that picture.
I think some of those questions that you're asking, feel free to phone Horse Council's office tomorrow or in the future and talk to Sarah. And then if you've got questions about a specific place, she'll bring it back to us, and then we can redirect it to someone that might know. Like, so for example, Deb, who is typed in here, she's done a few of these trips where you go somewhere and they actually supply the horse, etc. And I certainly heard from people that have done that, depending on where you're going. And I think Rose and Linda would agree with me. If you're going into ground that your horse has never been in before, sometimes I've heard that it's better to be on a horse that's familiar with bog than trying to teach your horse about bog when you're on a trail. And some places you can use their horses. So I don't know if you want to talk to that, Rose and Linda, but it's certainly something I've heard about.
Well, I think we could, but I think, Sarah, are you not putting on a how-to with your horse webinar?
It would be nice to definitely do that as well. I'm not sure, everybody's schedules start to get so busy, June and summer and everything. So I guess we'll have to see if there's enough interest for that. But it's something we could certainly look at doing, for sure.
Yeah. The other thing I thought about, the how-to is a good, because I know people have in the chat have talked about trail etiquette and manure management and that sort of thing. That's all how-to stuff. And the other thing we could address there too, if there was any interest, is teaching people how to use a Venza if we wanted to do that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we are, I guess, 2 minutes away from 8 o'clock. So it's been about an hour. So I think most of the questions in the chat have been answered. So I think we will maybe go ahead and wrap this up. Does that sound good? Sharon, Rose, and Linda, do we cover most everything?
Yeah, it sounds good to me. The only thing is if we miss somebody's chat, either type it in again right away or we'll try to review it once we're done and see if we missed anybody. But yeah, if we've missed your question, you might want to type it in right away. Yeah,
absolutely. And actually, Jocelyn, I think, was just gonna put in just some links to kind of Backcountry Horsemen website, Trails Database. So yeah, she has kind of that to pop in there. Yeah, and we will have this recording afterwards for everybody. So if you weren't scribbling notes or anything and want to review it, you certainly can. I think I'm not 100% sure, but they'll probably be up on YouTube or something like that. Yeah, so I'll just go on to, I guess, our closing remarks here. So yeah, I just wanted to thank everybody so much for taking the time with their busy schedules to attend. Also to Linda, Rose, and Sharon, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. And yeah, just a big thank you to the Backcountry Horsemen and to all the other clubs and everything that have used the BC Equestrian Trails Fund and gotten to work on these great projects around the province. It's been amazing that we have so many campsites up and going. Yeah, and Jocelyn, I believe, put in Backcountry Horsemen information. So definitely go check out their website, get involved. You can volunteer with them, trail clearing and helping build these campsites and lots of riding opportunities and everything. So yeah, definitely a great organization to be a part of. Yeah, and I think that was kind of everything that I wanted to touch on. So everybody have a good evening, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Horse Council.
Thank you, Horse Council.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.